Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a hot take on the beer virus. Yeah, just in general, WHO officials urge world leaders to stop using lockdown as primary virus control method. I'm no fan of the WHO. I think these guys are being influenced, at the very least, by China. However, I mean, for them to now say this is, I think, their them getting back on the straight and narrow. Now you could say, well, that's just because they agree with you, Tone. But they're basically telling the whole world to unlock their doors at this point. But let's read a little bit about it and why they urge world leaders to stop using lockdowns. We in the World Health Organization do not advocate lockdowns as a primary means to control this virus, Dr. David Nabarro said in The Spectator. The only time we believe a lockdown is justified is buy you time to reorganize, regroup, rebalance your resources, protect your health workers who are exhausted, but by and large, we'd rather not do it. Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense to me. Nabarro went on to point out several negative consequences of lockdown that have caused across the world, including devastating tourism industries and increased hunger and poverty. Look at just what happened to the tourism industry in the Caribbean, for example, or in the Pacific, just because people aren't taking their holidays. He said, look what's happened to the smallholder farmers over the world. Look at what's happening at poverty levels. It seems that we may have a doubling of world poverty by next year. We may have, well, at least a doubling of child nutrition. Earlier this week, and this article is from October 10th, thousands of medical experts signed their names to a petition calling for the end of the beer virus lockdown, citing the irreparable damage they have caused. And by the way, this is from, I think, the Washington Examiner. As infectious disease epidemiologists and public health scientists, we have grave concerns about the damaging and physical and mental health impacts prevailing on beer virus policies and recommend an approach we called focused protection, read the petition known as the Great Barrington Declaration, which I talked about previously. Current lockdown policies are producing devastating effects, short and long-term public health. In the United States, lockdowns have been tied to increased thoughts of suicide from children, a surge in drug overdoses, an uptick in domestic violence, and a study conducted in May concluded that stress and anxiety from lockdowns could destroy 7 times the years of life that lockdowns potentially could save. There it is. I mean, this is the WHO agreeing also with these doctors. And we need to end the lockdowns. Phil Murphy, my tyrant governor here in New Jersey, is now trying to impose a 10 p.m. curfew on bars and restaurants. That will do nothing. It will do nothing. It's a totally pointless exercise designed to do nothing but give Phil Murphy an opportunity in 2001 when he's running for re-election to go, oh, well, I did what I could. We would have had more death if I hadn't kept you from going to a bar at 10 o'clock at night. Even though it's dark at like 5:30 at night and the UV rays and the heat couldn't kill the virus on surfaces. It's long overdue that we stop politicizing this. And it's just not stopping. Biden is seemingly determined to enforce a mask mandate. Now, he can't do that constitutionally, but he has a plan to do an end run around the Constitution by appealing, had an alarm set, by appealing directly to local leaders, which I don't know how effective that will be. It'll probably be effective in blue states, I guess, or in states where he doesn't control, where Democrats don't control. I mean, this has just been a ridiculous Democrat move to politicize the pandemic. And they have. There's no reason, none, that the governors couldn't coordinate on this. And there could have been a compromise. And the compromise could have been something like, well, We'll open things up, but you got to do social distancing and mask. Fair enough. Like that, and, protect nursing homes, which they still haven't done. I hate to point it out to you, but they haven't made a serious effort to lock down nursing homes and turn them into space stations, which is what I say they should do. They should control the atmosphere, every molecule of it inside a nursing home should be filtering out everything. You should be wearing a spacesuit if you go in to keep old people safe until this vaccine's out. And it seems like it's just around the corner. Now, I don't know if the vaccine's going to be as 90% effective. It's awfully high. That's awfully high. I'm very skeptical. But if it gets us to a place where we can finally open things up, fine. I don't want forced vaccines. I don't think people should be forced to take the vaccine. And, you could do something like, well, if you haven't taken the vaccine, you can't go into a nursing home. I wouldn't be big on that. Or you have to do other things if you go inside the nursing home. Like, well, you're not inoculated, so you have to wear this crazy suit or whatever. Maybe. If you could prove the science, which I don't think they can. And I think the science I know from viruses, and I'm not a doctor, is that you get them, become immune to them, and build your immunity up. Not that you isolate from them, hide from them, and then hope you never get it. Because eventually everybody gets something this contagious. I think we all got it. I mean, I talk to friends all the time about this, and they, these are people who didn't take off because they had beer virus. They just said, yeah, I got sick around that time for like 2 days really intensely, and then it was over, and I was just like, I got sick too. I thought I was not going to go into work. I was sick over the weekend on a Saturday. I felt like crap. I went to bed early. I slept I just rocked some sleep, like 12 hours. Got up on Sunday, felt great, and it was gone. I don't know why. Was that beer virus? Maybe. Maybe not. I'm not a doctor. I didn't get tested. But that was the only time I was sick during this entire thing. So should I run out and get a test? I don't think I had. So in terms of this beer virus, we have to end the lockdowns. Another reason we have to end the lockdowns is the supply chain isn't just the United States. There are people all over the world that depend upon the United States for food. And that's unfortunate because they shouldn't be dependent upon us. Libertarians would like to somehow end that by giving those people the tools they need to feed themselves so they are not waiting for a shipment of grain from the United States for this very reason. But that doesn't change the fact that when the supply chain was broken, those people were caught up in it. And they're probably suffering now because it was like a delayed reaction. But if you do this again, they're going to suffer again. And the stats of the WHO, I don't know how real they are. I don't trust the WHO anymore, but I don't think they would put a stat out like that knowingly wrong because they could be called on it instantly. It seems to me to make sense because if the supply chain was disrupted, then everybody downstream would also be disrupted. And you have countries that are dependent upon us just to exist. I mean, think about some of the countries in Africa that are always teetering on the brink. If their food supplies are just suddenly disrupted, that could upend the entire country. So it's not just about us. It's about the entire world. And the lockdowns also, as they said in the article, and this is the other people said this as well, it increases stress and suicides. And how much stress is going to be increased if you lose your job, your home, your business? It's very stressful. It's very stressful. It's even more stressful that local governments change the rules or enforce them willy-nilly. Walmart hasn't missed a beat. But your local shop, there was a woman who was selling stuff on Facebook, not having people in her store, but selling it online. and they closed her down in New Jersey. That's not right. Walmart didn't miss a beat. And I don't mean to pick on Walmart, but all these big chains, they're not missing out on anything. Nothing. They're still operating. No problem. People can go into the stores. But when you're talking about bars and restaurants, especially in New Jersey, because we have a lot of bars and restaurants that are independently owned. Most people in New Jersey don't go to a chain restaurant if you can help it. There are a few high-end chains that are pretty good, but more often than not, you go to a local dive, you go to a local mom and pop place. Maybe this is a play by the state government and the powers that be, because Phil Murphy is of Goldman Sachs, to crush all these small businesses in order so major chains can come in and take up the slack. Oh, your local pizza place is gone, but Pizza Corp has taken their spot, has taken their customer base. Sounds cynical, but I'm a cynical guy. So we need to end the lockdowns. And as much as I hate to agree with the W.H.O, who I think screwed us in the beginning of this, they are at least some evidence. And the people now screaming that we got to keep it locked down or locked down again are the same people who listened to the W.H.O the first time. So why aren't they listening now? Again, it doesn't suit their political narrative. It doesn't suit what they want to do. I think they want to keep it locked down until Biden's firmly ensconced, and then, miraculously, Biden's going to open it all up. Oh, we looked at the science again. They've already laid the groundwork for it. They're talking about concerts, indoor concerts being okay. They're talking about this vaccine. They're even saying openly, oh, it's disappointing that it happened now and it didn't happen 2 months from now. It's like, dude, what the hell are you saying? TDS has really warped the brains of some of these people. And I think it's just a matter of time. If Trump pulls this off and is president, he's going to open things up. He's going to continue to push to open. Now, the Democrats will probably push back, try to keep things closed, but I think that pressure will eventually allow them to open up. If Biden wins, he may go with this mask mandate. He may attempt to shut the country down because winter is coming and the cases will go up. But as in New Jersey, it's unlikely the death rate will spike very far. It might go up a little bit, but as compared to before, it's going to be night and day. We are now getting 3,000 cases, almost 3,000 cases a day in New Jersey, and the death rate's still around 10. We were getting about that many deaths and fewer a little while ago. I mean, there were days where we actually had no deaths, not that the local papers would report it, but we were still hovering around 10. 10 was the magic number. So, the fact that we have more cases and about the same amount of deaths indicates that the virus itself is less deadly. And at the very least, we got to open it up for everybody under the age of 50. Just open it. There's no point in letting these people suffer. None. Unless you got a political agenda, and this is an easy avenue to get what you want.